Welcome back, my fellow full art freaks. Here today to talk about all the mistakes that I've made since coming back into the hobby. That way you don't make the same. Let's go. Hope everybody's keeping it fancy as always. So in March 2021, I started this channel to try to create something special. It was the worst time in the history of Pokemon to start a channel and start getting back into the hobby. Prices for everything was through the roof. You couldn't find stuff at retail. It was absolutely bonkers. Number 5 spot for the worst mistakes made collecting Pokemon cards would have to be ripping packs to make a profit. Ripping packs is a legitimate gamble. You don't know what you're getting, especially nowadays with how huge these sets are. There's no way you're going to just go buy 10 packs and get a $200 card. There's too much printed and there's too many different cards, too many different variables. More than likely, you're not going to get anything, even if you spent $200-300 buying packs. And by then, you're going to do nothing but break even if you're lucky. You might say to yourself, stores do it. They rip boxes and sell singles all day. Yeah, they do that because they're into the product less than you would if you went and bought it at the store. They sell other stuff on top of that. It's not just them going and buying a booster box and ripping it open, or buying 10 packs, ripping it open and selling the cards. As soon as you open that pack, the chances of you losing money is way higher than making money. So stop seeing all these box breaks and people making all this money selling packs and ripping packs open. That's content creators that have established communities that have people that buy from them. They're not taking that risk. Other people are taking it for them to make content. So another mistake I made when I first got back into this hobby was just buying up whatever singles I could. I wanted to get my old vintage cards back that I was trying to collect for the channel. I just started buying up cards without understanding the rarity, what sets they came from. I just saw a base set unlimited card and thought, oh, that's an expensive card, 25 years old. It's got to be expensive, right? But understanding the different print runs, the different sets, things like that go into making a card rare or not and valuable or not. The reason that a first edition base set Charizard is $500,000 is because there's not that many of them, especially graded in a 10. There's not that many of the first edition or the shadowless. Compared to unlimited, there's 2 or 3 times more than the first 2 print runs put together. That was when Pokemon was just starting. They didn't realize the demand that was going to happen. They weren't ready for it. So when the unlimited version was released, they went to the moon with it and it printed millions and millions of copies of these cards. So be careful when you're looking for vintage stuff and just getting back into it. Number 1, condition. Don't just buy whatever card. It's 20 years old, it's got to have value. Condition is everything in this hobby. As soon as one mark gets on that card, it decreases the value drastically. Check out everything about the card before you just fork over money. It may look good on the pictures, but that's because that person selling it wanted it to look that way. I've gotten several cards that I paid near mint prices for, and they were scuffed up, they were scratched up, they were bent, whatever. Be careful. Make sure you check condition. You scrutinize each card that you go to buy before you purchase it. Number 3 in my list of mistakes that I made would have to be thinking that any card that I get, if I go grade it, it's going to go through the roof. You don't know if that card is going to get a 10 or not. There's a reason 10s are held to such high standards as far as price and desirability, is because it's a perfect card. And yes, you can get lucky and have cards slip through that should be an 8 or a 9 at PSA. That's just somebody got lucky with that grader. And yes, PSA is more lenient than BGS or CGC, some of these other grading services. But that doesn't mean you're going to get guaranteed, oh, it's a little off center, they'll grade it in a 10. Go watch PokeRev. Go watch, some of these other content creators that send in bulk submissions. They get a lot more 9s than they do 10s. Just because you open that pack, pulled that card out and put it in a sleeve does not mean that it's a 10. You have to look over the cards. It's got to be a card worth grading, especially right now where the grading services are $100 a card. If the card's only worth $75 at a Gem Mint 10, why are you going to send it off for $100, pay shipping, fees, taxes, and then wait months, and the card could be even cheaper because there's a bunch of them graded? It's something you enjoy, or a Pokemon that you love, or if it has significant sentimental value to you for that card or that Pokemon, then by all means, do whatever you would like. If you're doing it for sole investing purposes only, you have to go into the market, see how much that card is selling for at a PSA 10, not asking prices. You need to look over your card extremely well. For example, this Venusaur right here. This is the card that Pat Flynn pulled for me on his channel. Pack fresh, straight out the pack. He took care of it exactly how you're supposed to. He shipped it exactly how you're supposed to. It got to me minty fresh. And as soon as I looked at it, it's got whitening on the edges. The top cut isn't that great. Centering is actually really good, but there's actually a print line on the hollow as well. That was straight out of the pack. So just because you open that pack fresh does not mean it's a PSA 10. Just because somebody says PSA 10 on their listings, definitely don't go by that. Number 2 mistake that I made getting back into the hobby is buying any product that you see on the shelf. So when I got back into the hobby, I had no choice. I wanted to make videos, I wanted to have content, so I had to just buy whatever I could find. And I didn't want to go online and pay 3, 4, 5 times what the product costs. So I had to go to my local Walmart. I was very lucky where I live at. I'm in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, so there's not a lot of people here in my town that buy Pokemon. So there was a lot of older stuff on the shelves at the time. But then after that ran out, I was just buying whatever blisters or booster packs that I could find. And that actually ended up hurting me in the long run, when I could have just saved that money or been buying singles or doing something else with that money instead of just buying packs to make videos. Don't just go buy whatever you see thinking that it's going to be valuable. Even during the boom, you can make that mistake and it can hurt you. You have to be very strategic with what you're buying. You have to do your research. I was new to the game. I grew up in the 90s during the original Pokemon boom, so I hadn't collected since the e-reader sets. I was way off on what the market was, and I didn't know anything about it. Since then, I've done nothing but research, learn, and get as much information as I can to make better decisions now, which is why I'm trying to teach you guys what I've learned and what mistakes that I've made so that you don't make the same ones. Don't just buy a Charizard card because it's a Charizard. Don't just buy Eevee because it's an Eevee. Bonus tip of the day, collect what you want and collect what you love. At the end of the day, this hobby is supposed to be about fun, enjoyment, bringing people together, trading, having a good time. So collect what you love, what Pokemon you enjoy. Yes, there are certain Pokemon that do better. Yes, there are certain cards that do better. But you have to understand how much of that card was printed, how much is out there, how much is graded. You have to take all these factors into account when you're making a decision on, is this card going to do well in the long term, or is it something that nobody's going to care about in 20 years? That's why I made a video that I'll put a little icon up here in the corner that you can go check out on how to keep track of your collection. It'll show you how to look at every single set, every card that came in that set. I love Pokelector. It's a great app that you can use on the go to help you when you're out buying at thrift stores, stuff like that. You can pull up and see what card came in what set, what the value of it is. It'll pull you up to TCG Player so you can see what that card's selling for right now, market values. Do your digging and try to find out information on the fly, and it'll help you try to make an educated decision on what you want to invest in. Don't just go buying whatever you see. And my number 1 mistake that I made is buying cards before the release of a set. As soon as the set is released, or right before it is released, during pre-release, or some people get booster boxes and even before then, stores, things like that, and they'll put cards up for sale on TCG Player, on eBay. Do not buy into FOMO and feel like you're going to miss out if you don't buy it right now for $300. The Charizard Rainbow Rare V-Star card in Brilliant Stars is selling for $200, $300, $400. It's going to be well below that, if not half that price or less. The alternate art V is the same way. Do not buy into the FOMO. Do not buy into the hype of a brand new set. I know you're excited. I'm excited. I haven't touched a pack. I haven't bought a card from it or thought about buying the card online. I made the mistake when I opened Battle Styles at the beginning of release, the one booster box that I got, I pulled the Tyranitar and the Urshifu. Those cards were selling for $200-300 each. I should have sold them right then and tripled my money that I spent on that booster box. Instead, I made the dumb decision to hold on to the cards instead of selling them to try to master set it, which was the worst mistake I could have ever made, because I ended up having to sell those cards anyway for $50 each instead of $200 or $300. Do not buy any cards before release or right at release, because they're inevitably going to go down. The more packs that are ripped, the more popular a set is, the more singles are going to be on the market, the lower the price is going to be. No matter how high the demand is, of course it's going to stay a little higher for those chase cards, the bigger cards, but it's not going to be $300, $400, $500. And on the same token, if you pull those cards at the very beginning of release, get rid of them then, because they're going to do nothing but drop for the next several months, if not longer, until that product is not printed anymore and a little time moves on. Then they might go up in value, but it's going to take a long time. So don't hold that card thinking, well, I'm going to sell it here in a few months, it's going to be more popular or more rare or anything like that. The highest prices those cards are going to be at for the foreseeable future until the print run is over is at the very beginning of the release or right before it. Well, I hope that helped you all on your collecting journey. I got more in store, so let's keep going. Show somebody you care, show somebody you're there. Suicide prevention, mental health is everything. Let's show love to each other. Peace, love, and joy to all. That peace goes up, the A comes down. Me and the Pika said watch that video. We out.